Thank you everybody for joining us on the Conscious Life Expo podcast. My name is Melanie, and today we have a very special speaker and guest today. Her name is Shelly Reef, and she specializes in interdimensional connection through sound, frequency, and guided meditation. She is the founder of Therapy Heart Practitioner Certification and co-developer of anti-gravity restorative yoga taught in over 40 countries. And Shelly is passionate about leading retreats on conscious evolution. How are you doing today, Shelly? Thank you so much for being with us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melanie. It's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to connect with everyone who'll be joining us at the expo this year.
Yes, and you will be joining us, and you are going to be hosting a free lecture at the Conscious Life Expo, February 2024. And that is going to be on Sunday, February 11th at 6 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. And before we get into the details of that, I would just like to start with you and how you got started and along your journey that has led you to where you are now.
If I didn't say that it all started in my very early childhood, I would not be saying the truth. It all started with a light that would show up in my bedroom. I remember this as early as 7 or 8 years old, and meditating became my favorite thing to do. And there was always a light and a connection. And then I began to draw what I would see in visions on my walls, my poor parents. That later in my life, when I got to be in around my 20s, I noticed that the things I was drawing on my walls was actually manifesting. And these were things that were taking me out and around the world. Like I very suddenly and unexpectedly wound up in Japan, where I met my first Buddhist teacher, who I studied with for some years. And so at a certain point in my late 20s, early 30s, that had happened so many times that the past had been foreseen and then happened, that I began to wonder if it could be reverse engineered, if I could choose something that I wanted to happen in my future. And it was about that time that the whole manifest your future and thoughts are things and what the bleep do we know and Abraham Hicks and all of this was just starting to come out. And it was so exciting and relieving because then I wasn't alone anymore, and I got to kind of dive into those communities. So obviously there was a kind of a spiritual foundation, and always guides, always a light, and always guides that over the decades, that conversation became more and more refined to up until now, when they actually can speak through me, when I'm able to shut myself off enough and allow that to happen. They definitely play the instruments for me. When I began the instruments, it was more mechanical, but once I learned them, I noticed that when I was playing for large groups and sometimes individuals, that something would kind of come over the room, and time would stop, and it would go deeper than I alone would be able to take it. And oftentimes the instruments even would make sounds, or I would start chanting things that I normally wouldn't be able to do by myself. So the instruments came into my life when I was teaching aerial yoga. I started to become a little frustrated when I was teaching Shavasana in the hammock, because people are hanging, they're supported, floating. They immediately go into a childhood regression. They go straight back to the womb, and these deep, deep healings were happening so spontaneously. So the guided meditation became my favorite part of the whole class. but I felt blocked in by the music, the beautiful music, a lot of Jonathan Goldman that I was using. But I had to end when it ended or change when it changed. And I really had a desire to produce my own music so I could be present to the need in the guided meditation at any given moment. Because when we're truly working as sound healers with guided meditations, with our voices, with instruments, whatever is delivered has to be in the present moment. It cannot be scripted or timed. Otherwise, it's a delivery. It's not a performance. It's a happening, an unfolding, an unveiling, so to speak. And so while I was living in Bali sometime later, I got called to a gathering of 88 healer women in Salt Lake City. And that is where the crystal tones, crystal singing bowls are made, which you can see I'm surrounded by here at the gallery in San Diego. This is where I do all of my work when I'm home in San Diego. And I met my first crystal bowls. And I said, how much is that one? And she told me, and I said, oh, I could never. And somehow I walked away with 5, and it all began. And the bowls then led me to Sedona, which is where I met the woman who developed these harps some 20 years ago. So these are zither style harps. They're absolutely beautiful, redwood. Zither style harps that are tuned in a chord, meaning you don't have to be a trained musician to play them. You can play them very intricately, but I can train anyone to play them in a short enough amount of time. And they're made to be played on the body of the person. So you lay them right on the chest of the person and then play these beautiful harmonies. And the frequency, the resonance literally goes into, of course, the physical body, and it does amazing work on all levels of human, physical, mental, emotional. So then I started realizing that I could tune the bowls and the harps to play together. And then I found these remarkable crystal chimes and realized that I could tune those to match my other instruments. And then eventually, of course, I found the monochords, and the same thing, learned how to orchestrate them all. So it's been kind of this unfolding. And alongside that, there's another unfolding that happened that started also in my childhood. And I only recently looped it back in, but came to understand the importance of frequency and why I'm speaking this language of tone, and bringing forth the very specific kind of healing and guided meditations that I am, alongside the guides who are interdimensionals. It's my origin, where I come from. It took me a long time to understand that, but I had to go to every other starseed healer at all of the trade shows and talk to them. And amazingly, I would receive the same answer from everyone. And so I finally came to accept it myself, because otherwise I would have gone through life thinking I was making it up, I think. So there are these beautiful interdimensionals. I used to call them the beings of light, and now I've settled on the family of light because they are very familial. And one specific female who channels through me from time to time. But alongside that, there was also the other kind of off-planet interaction, the kind that we maybe don't appreciate that much, the kind where we actually get taken against our will or lose large amounts of time, so on and so forth. I have a large history with this, that in my early 30s, I learned, or I didn't learn intentionally, I got scared by it. I didn't like the feeling that, I was being taken against my will. And I had two events that involved other people. One was a group of people and the other was two of us. And then I had confirmation and I knew that it was all very real. And so I used my background in meditation and also the work that I've been doing with my guides for my whole life to create almost like a wall, a shield of will, that this will not happen to me again. And it didn't happen for 30 years. Recently, when I started kind of hanging out with my friends at the Earth Files and the Richard Dolans of the world, my curiosity reopened, and that was enough. And immediately after my curiosity about it resurfaced, there was another incident. And so now it really deepens my work and my conversation, not just with myself, but with what I have to offer. Because especially, I know you just only asked me about my origins, but I guess the origins lead right up to this very moment. We're always being originated every new waking second. In this moment, it is so important in the world that people are given the tools that they need to be with what's happening off planet, including the sides of it that maybe we don't want, interaction with greys and reptilians, not accepting them into their lives, but learning how to become autonomous within the self, learning how to create that shield of will, and learning how to navigate the thoughts in the mind, learning how to not entertain thoughts that are attracting that which we don't want, including off-planet contact, and how to attract that which we do want, how to discern the difference between the two. And I feel it's so important right now because in the very near future, I feel it's very possible that some form, it's being led up to in the media, in the mainstream media, that it's now being recognized as of just this year, finally, by the government. And the media is weighing into that, but it's very possible that there be some sort of disclosure and then kind of a grappling for the reins of who controls that narrative. And at that point, I feel like it's very important for people to understand that they are sovereign and that they can choose where they stand in this, rather than allowing themselves to be manipulated by fearful media. And so all of the work has wrapped itself into one. The cosmic contact sound journey that I am presenting at the Conscious Life Evolution. Sorry, that's the name of my retreat. At the Conscious Life Expo, my retreat is Conscious Evolution Retreat. So we're all in the same ballpark here. And this is the work that I teach deeply at my retreats, is navigating the mind and using sound as a tool to go there. So the journey that I'll be doing is an actual cosmic contact journey. It was given to me over the last, I'd say, 7 years by my guides in bite-sized increments, always given to me when I was working with groups. They would take me a little bit further and a little bit further, because I feel that I had to be ready to hold the space for the people. And it's a journey that is both very safe and has always only ever had a positive experience, been experienced positively by those receiving it, and leads one safely into specifically the realm of the pineal as a sanctuary within, to connection with the high self. And the high self leads the way to connection with off-planet benevolent contact. And so it's all done in this very beautiful, loving, controlled, safe environment. And the beauty of it is that the tools of it can be delivered. I can deliver these tools to people. They don't need me to do it. They don't need another person present. They don't need a hypnotist. They don't need, that whole process. They can learn this, it takes some time. That's why the retreats are very important, because it gives us the time to dive in deeply and really deliver those tools to people so that they become sovereign, they become autonomous, they know the difference between when they're in their frontal lobe, visualizing and creating, when they're in the monkey mind, the jungle of everything, and when they're in the sanctuary of the pineal, which is where we connect to the crown, we connect to the intelligence, light intelligence, universal intelligence, cosmic intelligence. That's how it began.
That's so fascinating. I can definitely see how this journey for you would be very expansive. And for those who are reaching out to learn more, what can they expect from these, I would call, tunings or healings, and through this sound journey that you are offering and teaching? What can they expect from that perspective?
I call them upgrades, because we're working with frequency, and frequency is the language of the universe. Color is the sound of the language of Earth. Anywhere we go on Earth, people respond the same to different colors, and light, but tone is the common language of the universe. And especially with the crystal singing bowls, the harps tend to ground people. They come in different tunings. Some of them, this one is very grounding and pure love, but the angelic harp is pure expansiveness, and angel frequency. So what people can expect is to be taken deep, quickly, safely, to feel extremely relaxed, safe, to let go of, to release blocks and stuck places within where there's been holding and blocks that could be a lifetime or even generational. We create a safe environment. Letting go of that is part of the process of being able to make this connection. I think the most important part that people get from this, though, is being led into an inner sanctuary that is always there for the person. Once you enter this sanctuary, the person fills out what it looks like, what it feels like, what the environment is. It's not something that I plant into anyone's minds, because it's as individual as a person is. It's as individual as a fingerprint. No two people have the same inner sanctuary, that ultimate safe, healing, healed place where they connect with the authentic, true essence of themselves, their high self. No two could be the same. And so once we get to that point, people are already very deep, but then they get to allow it to be revealed to them what this sanctuary is. And it's amazing when I ask people, if I ask a room full of people what their sanctuary was, it varies from, a gold gilded red velvet castle, with marble floors, to a crystal well swimming through space. It's completely different. There's no right, there's no wrong. Sometimes it is just an experience of pure space. The interesting thing, though, is that once people enter this sanctuary through this method, they tend to keep that same sanctuary for the rest of their life. It seems to be a very true process. It may alter slightly, but over time, it tends to remain the same. It's a huge gift for people to have. And then if they want to go deeper, there's always ways to connect and take it deeper.
Yes, yes. And I was just seeing here on your free lecture that you are going to be safely guiding everyone there into the interdimensional meditation that will assist them in discovering with what benevolent ET contacts may be waiting for them. And so can you share with us a little bit about what we can expect at your workshop that is going to be on Sunday, February 11th?
Certainly. So what the process will look like, and also the journey that I just shared about the sanctuary is part of that process. And so what people are probably curious about is the cosmic contact and contacting the benevolent off-planet source information that may be waiting for you. We all have the capacity to connect to off-planet intelligence. And it's kind of like we choose our friends. We can't choose our family so much, but as we go through life, we can choose our friends. We can choose our work. We can choose how we spend our time. Well, we also can choose the frequency of the contact that we wish to have with the universe. And if what we're choosing is fear-based or manipulative, then that is probably what the person will attract into their life. That's not what I'm doing here, ever. I take people as far as I can in the other direction to connect people with benevolent contact. And so entering that sanctuary is part of the process. It's part of the process of being very safe and connecting to the high self. Because through the ego or through the chattering mind, it's easy for us to make up all kinds of things or try to drive the process. It's very important to get to that disconnected place. So physically, what it would look like is, depending on how many people are in the room, most likely people will be seated in their chairs. If there's space, if people want to lay down, that's wonderful as well. And it begins with the instruments. In a moment, I'll give you a demonstration of the sound of all the instruments together. I have the crystal bowls set up back here, all the instruments. And so you can hear kind of what that sound journey, that frequency experience is that you'll be receiving. And then it's a guided meditation. It's very specific. It's very different than anything I've ever heard. It was delivered to me by my guides, the interdimensionals, the family of light. And so you go deep within through layers. You'll experience being outside of yourself, being right in your auric field, feeling that, being right inside of your third eye, the frontal lobe of the third eye. We'll do some work in the frontal lobe. It's very important because this is where we manifest. This is where we intentionally visualize. And it's so important for people to understand the difference between when they're in the frontal lobe and the back part of the third eye, the pineal. We'll take a little journey through the monkey mind so that we get to know what that is. Say hello to our egos and goodbye to our egos. We'll do some cleansing work, purifying work, and protection work on the way in before we step into that beautiful sanctuary. At that point, you'll be led to commune with your high self after you've taken in the beauty of the sanctuary. Communion with high self. And of course, we linger there. You'll be able to ask your high self questions that you may have, or simply to ask to receive any information that your high self may be wanting you to know. You can also ask to receive healing at that time. The high self, when, it's kind of like theta state in meditation. In that state is a state of healing. It's more restful even than sleep. It's a state of healing greater than we could ever have in our cognitive mind. And so we will definitely allow for all of that wonderful work to be done while we're in that state. And this also is a connection that you'll be able to take with you. It's very clear, it's very specific, and once you're led to that place, you will know that journey back to high self. Of course, the more I get to work with people, the more adept at this they become. But my goal is to share everything that is given to me as quickly and easily as I can. It's probably not the smartest business model, but it is the most of the heart that it can possibly be. And I believe that that's part of the authenticity we need to seek in the world right now. Going into 2024, it becomes very important that we all begin to lean into the greater good for all rather than the greater good for our personal bank accounts. It's part of our evolution, out of 3D and into 5. So the final part is once you're protected, you're connected, you're one with high self, then you have the choice, if you want to or not, it's not required, to allow the high self to open the pathways through the crown to any benevolent cosmic intelligence that may be wanting to connect with you. And at that point, no matter how many people are in the room, when people are laying, receiving sound healings, there's always coughing, snoring, scratching, rolling, these little interruptions in the room. But at that point, every single time, it has become absolute still point. And in the last session that we did, we had 40 people here at Soul of Yoga in San Diego for the Cosmic Connection Journey. And they entered that state of cosmic connection, and no one budged for 45 minutes until we were out of time. And I had to bring everyone out. It was beautiful. Such perfect still point, such high connection. And
Beautiful. And what are benevolent beings or extraterrestrials?
oh, that's a good question. Uh, well, as we know, the universe is a very expansive place, verging on it's infinite in our minds. We can't even really grasp how expansive it is. And it's very certain that there are many, many life forms out there. And about the life forms that we're connecting with, it's not, we have to go beyond thinking about it in the 3D manner and think about it more in interdimensional or 5D manner. This is part of our evolution from 3D into 5D. That's what all the excitement is about with 5D, is that we get to be here in our physical bodies. We don't disappear yet. That's quite a ways down the line. We're still here, still look the same, but we begin to communicate in the psychic realms, in the interdimensional realms. And so there is a lot of life in this universe that is assisting humanity at this time, that is shining its protection and its wisdom down upon us. These would be probably the beings that are showing up, the lights that are seen around the nuclear sites, where there's information. They're not trying to get us to build more nuclear. They're trying to get us to figure it out that we need to stop with the nuclear threats. There's something about nuclear energy that ripples out. It affects the universe. It throws things off balance in a way that probably we don't understand yet. And so there's a lot of benevolent life form surrounding the earth right now, trying to connect, wanting to lift humanity to a clearer, truer, higher state of being. And I truly believe at this point that enough of us have awakened to that we've reached that tipping point. I do believe, 2024 is kind of stacked to be an eventful year. As the light grows stronger, when you open the door to the closet with a little monster in it, the monster doesn't say, "Oh, you found me. All right. I'll go to sleep now," right? It gets bigger and louder. And I think we're in for a lot of that on a lot of levels this year. We could see some dark underbelly of humanity show itself in this year. But, with every single stroke of that, the light becomes stronger. We deepen our conviction. And so there's all kinds of beautiful, benevolent intelligence out there to come through. There are destinations, there's the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, there's Sirius, there's all kinds of kind of physical destinations in the universe, but then there's also infinite interdimensional non-destinations that are here to remind us of our sovereignty, to remind us that a lot has been done to cause us to forget intentionally. A lot has been done to blind us. And the intention of these benevolent beings is to remove those blinders. And sometimes it's just a matter of the person saying, "I'm willing to receive."
For anybody who's interested in the free lecture, again, that is going to be Sunday, February 11th at 6 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. with Shelly Reef, and that is the Cosmic Sound Journey. And would you like to share with us a little bit of music?
Certainly. Let me jump back here, so pardon me. Just inviting you to allow these tones to center you, align you, restore you. So you just settle into center. Aligning the spine from root to crown, reaching down into the earth through the root, grounding, connecting to Mother Earth, being in your physical form, and lifting, rising from the crown to the expansiveness of all that is, and the light therein. Softening into the spaces in between, the thoughts in between, the breaths, in between the moments. And the light therein. Now pulling all of your awareness gently inward to the heart. And just landing in the center of your center, the heart of your heart. Allow any armor, any holding surrounding the heart to just melt in the harmonies, the frequencies. cleansing wave. Every inhale like a wave that rolls up onto the shore, collecting, capturing, and every exhale like a wave that draws back into the ocean, purifying in its body all that it receives. Release all tensions of 2023. Discovering who you are. Free of all that is not in alignment with your highest good. Simple, clear, sovereign, pure essence of you. Alignment, remembrance. That authentic, original expression of you. All that matters in the world. fluid becomes the emotional pathways. Vibrant becomes the energy body. begin to capture this connectiveness, this oneness within self, oneness of high self and universal love, intelligence. We begin to breathe that up to the surface of our being now, to integrate that expansiveness into time, space, reality, this moment, you, right now, right here, your physical body, your emotions, your energetic body. Becoming an expression of source intelligence. So if your eyes have been closed, I'd like to invite you now to reopen your eyes and connect with us here. Connect with those who are here in this moment. Connect with those who will be joining later. All of us, anyone who connects through this work, encircled here with us. Feel this circle, feel this group. Light workers, all of us, filled with our own sovereignty and light. And we shine that light into the center of this circle. This light reaches the center, we join with all of our brother and sister light workers, and that light creates a pillar shooting up into the stratosphere, out through the light grids, encircling all of Earth. Encircled here with our brother and sister light workers, holding the entire earth in our realm. We rain down like drops of pure white light, our love, universal truth, joy frequency. And the way of the evolved human soul. Raining it down into the hearts of all of humanity, every living creature on earth, every waterway, every grain of sand, all of the soil, every plant, tree, receiving our light. Great intention in this moment, here and now, we upgrade the frequency humanity, to be one that is the essence of the future that sustains life and love and sovereignty for all living beings, compassion and joy. And so I leave it up to you now, if you would like, to keep that flow open, that encompassing of the earth via the light grids and that pouring out of love frequency, light frequency into the hearts of humanity. If you wish, if it's comfortable and good for you to do so, I invite you to continue. Otherwise, you can come right back through those light grids to that pillar of light, drop right down into the center of us, light workers encircled here, and draw right back into your heart. Breathe into your bodies. Find your body, your fingers, your toes. And with the eyes open, just take a moment here in gratitude, connection. And then drawing your awareness back into yourself, have a look around the space that you're in. Have a look at yourself, your body. Have a look at your hands, move your hands. Maybe look at a clock, look at the passing of time, look at the things in your environment that represent time and space and 3D reality to you. And as you anchor back into 3D reality, I'm going to invite you to continue to connect to that other beautiful higher place within, so that we all become one. 3D reality, and also connected with the infinite intelligence of source love in the universe. And with that, I say, aho, namaste. First of all, I just want to say to everyone, please do the work every day. Find your rituals that take you into your own sovereignty, so that at least once a day, drain your chakras, right? Do forgiveness work, release all the cording with other people, even if they're your most beloved, just for a moment, so you remember who you truly are, and keep making that brighter and brighter. Try to practice every single day.